Hello, and welcome to my podcast entitled The Wright Experience. I'm Dr. William T. Wright Jr., the founder and host of this show. I'd also like to take the opportunity to wish and congratulate all of you that are serving as assistant principals or principals a very happy National Principals Month. I am now in the midst of my 9th year as a school superintendent and my 24th year as a public school educator. Over those years, I've been fortunate enough to get to know and work with some amazing leaders from all across the United States. And the vision of this show has been and continues to be to share these podcasts with you so that we can learn from people who are leading others every day. I'm absolutely excited about this month's opportunities because we're going to get the opportunity to meet some amazing leaders that are inside school buildings leading the learning for students every single day. That's what National Principals Month and the celebration of such is all about. Our initial focus for this show continues to be on educational leaders. Eventually, we'll look to expand to some other disciplines down the road. And please, by all means, when you hear things that you like, please let us know by commenting, clicking like, and if you're a YouTube viewer, please also click that all-important subscribe button. I've been absolutely pleased and excited about the responses that I've been getting from you. And I hope that those responses, positive responses, continue. Tonight is episode 31 of the Wright Experience. And as I said, during the month of October, in observance of National Principals Month, we will feature public school educators who are serving as principals in today's public schools. My guest tonight is serving as a principal in the school district in which she grew up and also at the school where she began her career as a teacher. Under her leadership, the Hertford County Early College has grown in attendance and academically. And additionally, the school is a perennial award-winning institution. My guest tonight is Mrs. Lyndsay Britt. Mrs. Lyndsay Britt, who is a North Carolina teaching fellow, earned a Bachelor of Science in Secondary Mathematics education at East Carolina University and a Master of Arts in Mathematics from Appalachian State University. She has her AIG certification from East Carolina University and is a member of the North Carolina Teacher of Councils of Mathematics, the National Council Teacher of Mathematics, Pi Mu Epsilon, and the Ahoskie Junior Women's Club. In 2014, Mrs. Britt was accepted into the Northeast Leadership Academy and graduated from North Carolina State University in 2016 with a Master of School Administration. She was accepted into Project I-4 and is currently pursuing her educational doctorate degree from East Carolina University. Mrs. Britt served as an assistant principal at Hertford County High School for 2 years before becoming principal. Before moving into administration, she served as mathematics teacher at Hertford County Early College High School. She is a native of Hertford County and graduated from Hertford County High School. Most importantly, she is a wife and mom to Adeline, age 3, who I saw today, Wade and Wyatt, both age 2. And she is also our current Hertford County Public Schools Principal of the Year. At this time, I'd like to welcome Mrs. Lyndsay Britt. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Now, for my viewing audience, I want to make sure that they know that you are not Adeline.
I'm not Adeline. Just a little bit older.
That's right. That's right. So welcome aboard. We're certainly glad to have you here and look forward to learning a little bit more about you and what you do tonight in the show. I want to start right off, Mrs. Britt, with the questions. Take the opportunity, if you will, to talk to our viewers about Hertford County Early College High School and the wonderful things that are currently going on there.
Thanks, because our school is the best school. And I think we were in a webinar the other day. I said in the world, because that's what I truly believe. We are consistently pushing it to the next level. We have been 100% graduation rate, which we are super proud of, making sure that our students get to the next level. We are graduating students this past year, even through the pandemic. We had our highest associate's degree completion rate with 83%. So that is amazing. And that number continues to increase. We are continuing to work with the community college in order to get students programs that they are interested in. So this year we have a pathway directly into the nursing field where our students are going to have all their prereqs completed to go straight into nursing. We have students who are going to graduate with a welding diploma for the first time. Our staff works really hard to build relationships with our students. You mentioned at the beginning, we have the highest attendance rate. That's because I feel of the of the relationships that we have and that we build with our students. Our enrollment has increased over the past several years, and we're very excited about that, continuing to bring kids into Hertford County because of how wonderful our program is. We have a great teaching staff of all certified teachers. And so that's an amazing thing to have in this day and time. Right. And we have a great administration team. My secretary is the best. Our counselor, our college liaison, we truly work together as a team. Really, we call each other family. So we are a little family unit that operates to make sure our students have everything they need. We are constantly meeting with students to make sure that they're on the right path and that they have everything that they need. So it's just a really great place to work. It's a great place to learn. It's just a great place to be all around. We have been nationally ranked in the best news report for what we do with students in low socioeconomic status and the proficiency ratings that we have. Even through the pandemic, I'm proud that we maintained around 50% proficiency. So I think that that's really awesome. So we just continue to do great things for kids and making sure they have connections in our community. Today, I was able to witness 6 of our 9 students were just admitted to the Ahoskie Youth Council. That's and right. This is the first program that they've had. And, we had 6 of those 9 students to do that. We have garden stewards who work to help and maintain the community gardens around the county. So we're not only focused on academics, but we're focused on what other opportunities we can provide to students so that they are well-rounded when they leave our program and that they know what it means to give back to their community that they came from in order to be that positive influence to the people around them.
Outstanding. And certainly we're proud of the work and proud of the opportunities that students are being given at Hertford County Early College, for sure. Mrs. Britt, as a leader, you are faced with the daily responsibility of ensuring that you provide education for others, yet you are continuing to pursue education yourself, in addition to being a mom. Talk to us about how you balance that and the importance of continuing to be that learning leader.
My leadership style has always been one as a leader or as a model. I truly feel that I should model the behaviors that I want to see. Mm-hmm. And we have to learn and continue our learning in order to be better. And I've always believed that. I've always loved learning, even as a child. I think that's why I'm still an educator. But learning is just so important because things are changing. The world around us is changing. And if we just only think about what has been, then it's not going to help us move to what could be. And that, to me, is why it's so important. The other part of your question about how I balance it, I have a great support system. My husband is wonderful. My parents are wonderful, and making sure that the kids have what they need. If I'm needing to log in for class or do something for school or whatever it is, it doesn't matter if it's last minute, they're there to help me. But I'm also a really organized person. During the pandemic, pandemic, teachers laughed at my Google Calendar when they saw it because literally everything is marked. But that's how I find time to make to balance. Like, okay, I know I need to get this accomplished. So that's what I do. I set that time aside so that I can make sure all of those things get done. So I just try to be extremely efficient in what I'm doing, work smarter, not harder all the time. And so, I try to model that for my staff as well. Being a model, letting them see that I'll do anything that is needed to help the students, to help the school. That's what I want to do. And that's what I want to show them, in hopes that they will also do whatever it takes to make sure that we have a great school.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you do have an amazing support system. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Mrs. Britt, what are some of the specific challenges that schools are facing right now trying to navigate the pandemic? And talk to us a little bit also about how you might have addressed some of these challenges.
Yeah, so the pandemic last year, because our staff knows students so well, we really struggled not being able to see them face to face.
Yeah.
And so I think that was one of the hardest things for our staff, period, was, that face-to-face interaction with us being remote, for 3/4 of the year. And so now it's become where we're having to not rebuild, but kind of start over on some of those relationships, and pick back up, but not try to move too fast, because we don't want students to be overwhelmed from not being in school for so long. So one challenge is, for me personally, when we're having to quarantine kids and them being out for so long.
Mm-hmm.
That's a significant amount of time that they're not getting that in-person instruction that we know is so important, especially with the way things were last year, all year. Second, I would say we're struggling with, how do we balance the social and emotional needs of students versus the academic needs that we know they have.
Mm-hmm.
How do we help them where they maybe didn't really have math for a year, they were a 9th grader when they started, get to 11th grade math without pushing it too hard, but knowing they missed a lot in between. And then making sure that we don't overwhelm them so much that that we're missing that social and emotional piece that they have struggled with from being at home. So I would say that's definitely the biggest challenges that I'm seeing in school is, making sure that they have true understanding of the content, trying to fill the holes in where they are, and then just figuring out how we make sure we still serve kids when they're having to be out for significant periods of time.
Yeah. And even having to go back and truly assess where the holes are, because the holes probably over the last 18 months may not be the traditional holes. You may have
Right.
a child that'll show up for freshman math 1, and traditionally they may have one set of challenges, but you might have some gaps now that stem all the way back to 7th grade math.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. I think that sometimes we're having a hard time getting people to understand is these gaps are sometimes over a multiplicity of years. And
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And teachers, they want their students to do well.
That's right.
But,
That's right.
how do teachers, that whole accountability piece that they know is going to happen at the end of the year, when their test scores are going to be essentially what defines them. That is a struggle, because we are now battling with multiple years or a year and a half of time in which we're trying to go back and fit in and rebuild some learning of some concepts. So, trying to find that right balance, the balance between meeting the kids' social needs and meeting their academic needs.
That's right. So Mrs. Britt, along that same line of conversation for sure. As schools begin to transition into post-pandemic education, and I'm not sure we're there yet, as we've been saying the last couple of weeks, but as we begin to transition that way for sure, what are some lessons learned that you believe might be valuable for us as educational leaders moving forward?
I think we have focused so much on the academics
Mhm, mhm.
that we have not fully taken care of ourselves or our students to the best of our ability. And I think we're starting to realize that, but I still think we're trying to move too fast. Um,
Uh-huh.
even academic wise, it's going to be several years, in my opinion, before schools get back to where they were pre-COVID,
Mhm.
um, with test scores and ratings and all of that. But understanding that there are things that kids need to get before they can get to that point, and we need to
Right.
be willing to help them get there and not worry about that. um so sorry, my children in the
That's okay. All right.
background. So I think that that's part of what we need to slow down. We need to slow down. We
Right.
need to not worry about trying to do things so fast and making things at the end of this year be just what they were before we got out for COVID. It's going to take us several years before we get there.
Profound statement, and so very, very true. It's not a we didn't get into this in a few months. It took us just about 2 years, and and we certainly aren't going to get out of it overnight. Absolutely. Thank you for that. So, Mrs. Britt, of all of the accomplishments that you've had so far in your um, not so long career, but long enough, what are you most proud of so far?
That's hard. That's a really hard question. Well, I'm probably most proud personally of my children. I know
Sure,
they're young.
sure.
They haven't, I guess, disappointed me that much yet. but but professionally, I've really honestly had some really great opportunities.
Sure.
When I received teaching fellows, that was my first step into education, and then receiving um, NELA, that was my first step in administration. And so, both of those opportunities really set my path because they each provided unique experiences that the average person who's going into a teacher education program might not get to have.
Mhm.
And so I really feel like those two opportunities in particular helped me guide get me to where I am now as a principal. But even this opportunity that I've had with Project I-4, working toward my EDD, um, that has really helped me become a better leader because it's really focusing on what I can do to directly impact the teachers in my building and the students. So it goes back. I mean, all of these things I think have been some of the greatest opportunities that I've had to get where I am right now.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, and we have a lot to be proud of, and this profession will afford us a lot of opportunities if we are willing to put in the work and take advantage of the opportunities that are presented. So, and you've done a tremendous job of that.
Thank you.
So let me go to another galaxy, so to speak. You've spent a significant amount of your time as a principal, also serving as a math teacher. That's your shameless plug from your boss, because of shortages that our district has faced. How do we recruit and retain professionals in our schools, in your opinion? What do we need to do better about doing that?
We have to change the narrative.
Yeah.
We can't have people looking at education as a babysitting service or as a service that why would I do that? I don't get paid enough money. Um, we've got to make the profession a profession again.
Yeah.
Um, And, we have to take pride in our work because what we do is so important. I mean, every student that comes through my high school and every high school in the world is going to do something. And
Sure.
we had a step in that. And so I guess I struggle why people don't want to do it because it is such great work. But it's finding those people who truly have those passions about working with kids and are genuinely concerned about their well-being. We need to find those people and get them in the profession. Well, we've got to treat it like a profession. We need to be paid like a profession. Sure. So those things are so important. And it can't be so we need community support too. Sure. It's not, well, my child hasn't done anything. We need, support from legislators, support from school boards, support from central office personnel for the people that are in the schools. All of those things, all of those people make a difference in how educators are able to react and respond to situations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just yesterday, in fact, along those same lines, I was talking to a group of Park scholars at North Carolina State University. And just yesterday, I was asked a question kind of similar to this one. And what I said is that I believe, and I can be quoted on this. This is my show, so I can say this. I really do believe that we've got to convince the legislators, the people who make laws, the people who control how much teachers get paid. We got to be able to convince them that education is an investment in the most important profession in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's really what it is, because without educators, our country does not work as it should. Our world doesn't work as it should. So right now, it's not treated as an investment in a profession. We're paying
and
$35,000 a year for an entry-level teacher, and we've got folks who are operating in positions that require high school diplomas. And not hating on a high school diploma, we all have one and need one. But they can get paid a lot more not being an educator. Yet we are responsible for the learning for the world. And so
I want to start treating it like you have to pay them like professionals.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And what do we say is one of our founding principles of America, that free and public education for all. So, and you want it to be quality education. So
there you go. There you go. So along those lines, you've talked about it, and we've already talked about this a little bit, but additionally, if you can think of other things, how do we help recreate respect for our profession?
Yeah, I think you have to put the right teachers in the right spot that leave those good impressions on kids, because who are the kids going to remember? Mm-hmm. Kids are going to remember those people that impacted them the most, that worked to do whatever they could to help them. Right. I call every single one of the students at my school my child. So I say I have 88 children because I have 185 when I go in that school building every day, and then my 3 at home. Right. They're all my children. And when I talk with them and their parents, I want to make sure that I'm advising them the way that I would advise my children, or I want someone to advise me. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like if educators in every school and every position take that to heart and treat them like they're their own children, then we start to have respect in the community that these teachers really care. These teachers want the best for my child. Those teachers made a difference in me. I want to make a difference in someone else. So I think it starts with us as teachers and how we treat those that come through our school building and making sure that we're doing the very best that we can. I think that's how we start to build. And I think we do that. I do think we do that. But I think that, one bad thing can happen and that can outweigh the million other great things that are happening. And so it's just getting those positive messages out there so that people are thankful and want to do those things for the profession.
So you're also talking about really us continuing to earn that respect, to behave as professionals, to do that extra work to make sure that we are embracing those that we serve every day and things of that
Yes.
nature. Yeah, absolutely. So, Mrs. Britt, if a aspiring principal were to show up on your doorstep tomorrow morning um, and say, "I would like to be a principal one day," what advice would you give me? What would you say?
I would say you're going to have to make sure you carve time out for yourself.
Oh, where'd you hear that from? No, I'm just kidding.
But it is really so true because, you can have a great admin team, but
Sure.
nobody knows what you're going through at that moment when you're having to make a decision as an administrator. Um, and so, it can be very overwhelming and trying to manage and make sure everything is in place. And if you're an extreme type A personality like I am and everything has to be planned, then it can sometimes even be harder on you you want every detail worked out because you want everything to go right. But you still have to remember to find time for yourself and decompress. So I have those times. I turn my phone off. I don't look at anything. I don't check my email. And I try to focus in on the moment
Mhm.
so that I can then pick it back up and do what I need to do, even if it's for 30 minutes or an hour. Just remembering to take that moment for yourself because it can be lonely.
Absolutely, absolutely, and also that allows you to be a better servant to others when you take that time out um, to replenish and so forth, and we all need that. I don't care what profession you're in, particularly those that require leadership. You got to take that time and learn to compartmentalize. So um, that's not the first time you've heard that, is it?
No, it's
But
not.
anyway, Mrs. Britt, what other we've covered the questions that I have tonight, but is there anything else that you would like to discuss or talk about with our audience at this time?
Well, if you're in the Hertford County, northeastern North Carolina area, Hertford County early college applications open November the 1st. Be on the lookout for those. We're always looking for great students.
All right.
Um, and we are also currently in need of a teacher assistant. So if you're interested in being a teacher assistant at one of the greatest schools in the world, please apply through our website. But other than that, Dr. Wright, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's been an excellent opportunity. So I do
Mhm.
appreciate it.
And congratulations on your recognition by your colleagues uh, as the Hertford County Principal of the Year. In our district, just want to be clear that that is not a principal selection, a superintendent selection. Although I certainly support that selection, but Mrs. Britt was selected from amongst her peers to serve as the principal of the year. Maybe that's futuristic. I said superintendent almost, but certainly as the principal of the year for the 21-22 school year. Ms. Britt, if you hold on with me for a minute, we'll come back and close out the show. In observance of National Principals Month, all of our guests this month, as we talked about earlier, will be practicing principals in public school districts. We will learn from and experience the challenges and triumphs of their frontline leadership. There is no more important position in today's public schools than that of the effective principalship. I am still in the process of finalizing the lineups. However, my guest next week will be Dr. Jason Leach, who is the principal of Hertford County High School here in North Carolina. Um, Dr. Leach has been in Hertford County Public Schools a little less than a year and is doing some amazing things. So we'll get an opportunity to meet with and talk with him on next week as well. You will be able to see who's forthcoming on these podcasts by staying tuned to the medium in which you're watching. And Mrs. Britt, I just want to tell you that I sure do appreciate you taking the opportunity to be my guest and taking some time away from Adeline and the twins to be a part of this podcast. I also appreciate your willingness to continue to serve the children at Hertford County Early College High School in a dual role as a principal, as well as teaching math and just doing whatever it is to make sure that students are successful. Our district and certainly that school is better off because of you and your work. And we sort of do appreciate you and all that you're doing. And to the audience, I sure do hope that this podcast continues to be a blessing to you as we talk about leadership and making ourselves better.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. And to the audience, good evening.